Within each of us, a constant companion resides. It is a voice, an unseen narrator tirelessly active. This inner dialogue whispers, or sometimes it may shout, its continuous commentary. It interprets our experiences and assigns meaning to the world around us. This internal monologue is a fundamental part of being human. It is a hidden, yet immensely powerful force shaping our lives. The stories it tells, the judgments it makes, these become the building blocks of our perception. If the voice is kind, encouraging, we tend to see the world as a hopeful place. But if this voice is harsh, critical, our world can shrink. The quality of this inner dialogue, therefore, is of paramount importance. Our inner landscape is sculpted by this internal narrator. This voice can paint vibrant scenes of possibility or etch deep canyons of doubt and fear. Unlike the geological forces of nature, we have the potential to influence this inner architect. We can learn to guide its work. We can help it build a more supportive, more expansive inner world for ourselves. The journey to understanding this inner dialogue is like exploring a new territory. We must first become aware that this voice exists, constantly speaking. Then we must learn to listen to what it is actually saying. Recognizing its patterns is the very first step. As we begin to listen, we may discover recurring patterns in our inner dialogue. Some of these patterns can be surprisingly negative. One common type is the inner critic. This voice is judgmental, finding fault with everything we do. It magnifies our mistakes and dismisses our achievements. This relentless criticism can erode our self-esteem. Another familiar pattern is catastrophizing. This is when the inner voice takes a small problem and blows it completely out of proportion. It imagines the worst-case scenario for every situation, creating immense anxiety. Then there is personalizing. This occurs when we automatically assume responsibility for negative events, even when they have little or nothing to do with us. It makes us the center of every negative occurrence, leading to feelings of guilt and inadequacy. Finally, we often encounter filtering. This is when our inner dialogue focuses exclusively on the negative aspects of a situation, while ignoring all the positive ones. This skewed perception prevents us from enjoying our successes. It robs us of joy and gratitude. It paints a bleak picture of a world that might, in reality, hold much brightness. The impact of these negative inner dialogues is not confined to our minds. These thoughts have a profound and tangible effect on our entire being. When our inner voice is consistently negative, it triggers stress responses in our body. Our heart rate might increase, our muscles might tense, and we might experience headaches or digestive problems. Over time, this chronic stress can contribute to more serious health issues. Beyond the physical, negative self-talk significantly shapes our behavior. If your inner critic constantly tells you that you are incapable, you are less likely to pursue challenging goals. You might avoid opportunities for growth, believing failure is inevitable. Our actions, or indeed our inactions, are often a direct reflection of the stories we tell ourselves. Our relationships also suffer under the strain of a negative inner dialogue. If you personalize negative events, you might become defensive or withdrawn in your interactions with others. If your inner voice is highly critical of yourself, you might project that criticism onto others. Ultimately, a persistently negative inner dialogue can dim the vibrant colors of life. It can steal our joy, our peace of mind, and our sense of purpose. But the remarkable truth is that this internal weather system is not fixed. We have the capacity to change the forecast. The first crucial step towards transforming your inner dialogue is to become an astute observer. We must learn to listen to our thoughts without immediate judgment. Keeping a simple thought journal can be immensely helpful here. As you begin this process of observation, you might be surprised by what you discover. Many of our negative thought patterns operate on autopilot. By consciously tuning in, we bring them into the foreground. Recognizing these patterns is like shining a light into a dark room. It is important during this identification phase to practice self-compassion. The goal is simply awareness. Once you start to see these patterns more clearly, you can begin to question them. Often, simply holding these thoughts up to the light of rational inquiry can begin to diminish their power. You are learning to separate yourself from your thoughts. Once we have identified the unhelpful narratives, we can begin to actively rewrite them. One powerful technique is the use of positive affirmations. These are simple, positive statements that we repeat to ourselves consciously and regularly. They are designed to counteract the negative messages that have taken root in our minds. An affirmation is like planting a new seed in the garden of your mind. To be effective, affirmations should be phrased in the present tense, as if they are already true. For example, instead of saying "I will be confident," you would say "I'm confident." They should also be personal and meaningful to you. The practice of affirmations requires repetition and consistency. Each time you repeat an affirmation, you are reinforcing a new, more positive pathway in your brain. It may feel a little unnatural at first, but with persistence it becomes more familiar and more potent. Consider the story of Sarah, who always felt anxious before presentations. She started using the affirmation, "I am calm, prepared, and I communicate clearly." Gradually, her anxiety lessened. Another profound method for transforming our inner dialogue is the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is, quite simply, the art of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It is about observing our thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations as they arise and pass. It does not involve stopping our thoughts, which is nearly impossible. Instead, it involves changing our relationship to them. We learn to see them as transient mental events rather than absolute truths that define us or our reality. One way to cultivate mindfulness is through simple breathing exercises. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes gently or lower your gaze. Bring your attention to your breath. Notice the sensation of the air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, and then leaving your body. Your mind will inevitably wander. When this happens, simply acknowledge the thought without getting caught up in it. Then, gently guide your attention back to your breath. Regular mindfulness practice helps us to create a space between ourselves and our thoughts. In this space, we gain perspective. We begin to recognize that a thought is just a thought, a fleeting mental event. We are not obliged to believe it or act upon it. While self-help techniques like affirmations and mindfulness are incredibly valuable, there are times when the journey to rewrite our inner dialogue benefits greatly from a helping hand. Reaching out for support is not a sign of weakness. On the contrary, it is an act of profound strength and self-awareness. Sometimes our negative thought patterns are deeply entrenched, perhaps stemming from past experiences or long-held beliefs. Untangling these complex knots can be easier and more effective with guidance from others. Support can come in many forms. It might be a trusted friend or family member, someone who listens without judgment and offers a different perspective. Simply voicing our negative thoughts to another person can sometimes diminish their power. For more persistent or overwhelming negative self-talk, seeking professional support from a therapist, counselor, or coach can be transformative. These trained professionals can help us understand the origins of our negative thought patterns. They can teach us specific cognitive behavioral techniques, CBT, to identify, challenge, and change unhelpful thinking. They provide a safe, confidential space to explore our inner world and develop healthier coping mechanisms. Think of them as skilled guides helping us navigate the sometimes tricky terrain of our own minds. Reaching out can open doors we thought were permanently closed. The journey of rewriting your inner dialogue is one of the most empowering adventures you can undertake. It is a path towards greater self-understanding, self-compassion, and ultimately, a more joyful and fulfilling life. As we have seen, our inner voice is not a fixed entity. It is malleable. It can be reshaped from a harsh critic into a supportive friend, a wise guide. This transformation does not happen overnight. It requires patience, persistence, and a gentle commitment to yourself. But the rewards are immeasurable. By consciously choosing to cultivate a more positive inner landscape, you begin to change your entire experience of the world. Challenges may still arise, for life is full of them. But your response to them will be different. Instead of being overwhelmed by negativity, you will have an inner ally, encouraging you, reminding you of your strengths, and helping you to see possibilities. This positive inner dialogue becomes a source of resilience. It allows you to navigate life's ups and downs with greater grace and confidence. The world itself may seem brighter. Your relationships can become healthier and more harmonious. You become a more positive presence in the lives of those around you. This inner transformation has a ripple effect, touching all aspects of your existence and the world you inhabit. A new voice awaits, and with it, a vibrant new world. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more transformative content.